Hello everybody, my name is Aceface. This is a tutorial how to extract 3D models from EVE Online and also a basic crash course in optimizing them for 3D printing. And I'll show you how to turn this into this. So stick around until the very end because I'll show you exactly how I step by step made this Marshal. I can imagine a lot of creative people also would use these models to make cool stuff in Blender. Like on the EVE Online Reddit especially, I've seen lots of people making like really cool artwork with the 3D models they've extracted, and it looks amazing the kind of scenes people have made. So this could be both used for 3D printing, but could also be used for other types of artwork as well. So let's get straight into it. So type Triexporter in Google like this, click here, click here, click here and save this file. When you've downloaded it, put this zip file to your desktop. So we'll just make a new folder and type Triexporter. Put these two in here. Close this. Double click Triexporter over here. And this is the main software we're going to use to be able to extract the models, but there's some preparations you need to do before you can start extracting. So first off, what you're going to have to do is delete this granny2.dll. In the description of this video, I'm going to put a download link for, there's a new version of this granny.dll file because you need a new version to be able to extract all the models. The thing is, there's some new models that have been released, like for example the updated Marshal model, the Triglavian ships, like I think around 2016, 2017. You can't extract them if you use the old granny.dll. So it's just a little file that you need to be able to extract the relatively new models that have been added to the game. So when you've downloaded it, you'll get this zip file. Take this new granny.dll and put it in here. Now what you want to do is open up your EVE client, and in the option button up here, you see this one right here. Make sure you tick the download full EVE game client, because this needs to be there to be able to download all the models. There are many models that won't work if you don't do this, because how it works in EVE Online is that by default, I think at least by default nowadays, it used to at least be back in the day by default, this was not ticked. What it does is that if you don't tick this, it will only download like assets like textures, models, resources. It'll only download the stuff you encounter. Now this is a way to preserve space, and also for like new players who want to just get into EVE straight away. This makes it so that you hardly have to spend any time installing the game because it'll only download what you see. So it'll just be downloading on the go, you could say, if you don't tick this. So it's very good to start playing EVE fast, but you won't have everything there installed. So if you click this, just keep this in mind. It'll take a lot of space. I think it'll take like 20 plus gigabytes or something like that, because it's just going to download the entire asset library of everything that's in EVE Online. But I've actually noticed that if you tick this, the game actually functions a little bit smoother because you have to like load stuff from time to time. And also, this is what you need to do to be able to open up all the models anyway in Triexporter. So make sure you do this. It'll take a bit of time to download it because you're going to have to download the full game then if you haven't already ticked this. But just make sure you click this. So then make sure you've downloaded it, and then we'll go back to Triexporter. So double click this right here. And the way to set Triexporter up is that by default, you should see a res folder here. But if you don't see a res folder, then what you're going to want to do is go in the file, click set folder. And then when you've got your files here, your different like your drives here, you're going to have to locate the one that you've got EVE installed on. So I've installed it on this hard disk over here called Big Boy, a very big hard drive I've got. In my games folder, I've got EVE right here. Click here. Then click on shared cache. Make sure you click on TQ like that. And then click OK. And it'll take a bit of time. Just wait a little bit. There we go. We've got it set up. So now it's time to extract models. So we can extract basically any model from the game right now. It doesn't have to be necessarily ships. It can be stations. It can be pretty much everything. And you can in fact use textures, but I never mess with the textures, but you can actually export the textures as well. I have not got a lot of experience in doing that because I've never had a reason to export them. But you can also do that as well. There are people who have been doing crazy stuff with textures as well, like in Blender. That kind of stuff looks really cool. So let's say we want to extract a ship that many people want to fly or many people like the look of, but it's maybe too expensive for the average EVE player. Let's go and extract the Marshal. Now this is one of the ships that won't work if you use the old granny.dll file. So there's different files here. Oh, what the heck? Well, basically you can think of it like this. Okay, there's different factions, and then you go Concord, and there's Battleship right here. And there's only one Concord battleship, so then it has to be the Marshal here. Now you'll find these GR2 files here, GR2 GR2, GR2, GR2. These are the model files. So the GR2 files are the ones you want to extract. And there's basically only one that you want to extract. It's usually the one that's at the top. It's usually like T1 or T2.gr2. This is what you want to export. Now, don't do this low detail and medium detail one. The reason is because these are basically like in EVE Online, there's an LOD system, a level of detail system. So sometimes like when you're really far away from an object, it'll be rendered in a less detailed model. So that's what these low detail ones are. These are the models that they use when they use that, but they'll look a lot worse. So if we look here, double click here, the Marshal, it looks like, now you maybe can't really tell because the Marshal is a pretty basic model. But if we look here, maybe in this, like the fin up here, it looks a bit basic. But if we go in the T1 one, the like a proper one, it looks a bit more detailed. It's probably hard to tell, but especially I think you can see here, it's like completely flat. But if we go in this one, then you can see a bit of textures right here, like a bumpy right here. But either way, this is the highest detail one. Like there'll be medium detail, low detail, and they won't say higher detail. It's just this is the one that you want to use. So if you want to export this, you just highlight it like this, go in File and Export Model. So you can just select the file, type, I don't know, Marshal. Then what you want to do is just type the OBJ. You can also do like 3ds, but I always like to export OBJ. I just prefer this format. Just export this and click save. And simple as that, really. And then you got the model right here, ready to be printed or just exported to have some fun with 3D models. You can see here, it's like very detailed. You can see all these like small parts on it. It's the real stuff. It's the real stuff. Okay, so say I wanted to export something else, like a purifier, for example, because it can be a bit complicated in this file structure when you get into the other common factions like Amar, Kaldari, etc. So what we would do here is we would see Amar, right? And then we would, if you purify is a frigate, so we'll go to frigate, and there's a ton of Amarian frigates. So how do we know what these are? Because they're all like coded. You can't really tell what they are. So you sort of have to test yourself forward. So let's see now. This is the Impera. So the Corvette is definitely not here. Maybe it's this one right here. No, this is the Crucifier, so not here. This is the Punisher, so not here. But say we wanted to go for a Retribution, for example. So this is then the, the normal one. So it's the .gr2 without any low or medium detail. So this is the standard Punisher. But then if we wanted to go for like the Retribution, I believe even this is not the standard Punisher. This is the Alliance Tournament one that has got it's the Malice, I believe. Because you can see it's got a bit of like an armor plate thing here. The standard Punisher is this one, I believe, because it's the T1. Like I think T1 that stands for like Tech 1 or just the default one. Because you can see here it's very smooth. Now, if you want to see what I mean, the Malice 80 ship, the special edition one, you can see it's got like a bit of armor plate here. So it has to be this one. It's like from Alliance Tournament 9, I believe. That's why it's IX, it says there. So you can see this here. But either way, say you wanted to extract, for example, a Retribution. So then there's a T2 one somewhere there, T2.gr2, and not medium or low detail, but just T2.gr2. So this, I believe, is the Retribution. No, actually, no, this is the Vengeance. So T2A. Now, there's two, like you could say, two variants of T2 ships of the Punisher. There's the Retribution, but there's also the Vengeance, you could say. So it's like a variant of the Punisher. So it has to be the T2B that is the Vengeance or the Retribution. So there we go, the Retribution. It's known by having like a bit of like antennas that go forward right here, while the Vengeance has more like these wing bits up here. So you would do it the same way, just highlight it, export model. Simple as that. But if we want to go to the Purifier, let's see here. Not here. This is Imperial Navy Slicer. Here. No, this is a Cruel. Here. No, this is a Magnate. This is the Tormentor, not this one either. This is the Tech 1 Logi frigate for our Mars, at least. This is actually a variant of the Purifier. Funny enough, Logi ship is a variant of the Purifier, but that's just the way it is. So if we go here and type Purifier Eve, in the Purifier, you can see here it's got the Inquisitor class, and the Inquisitor is actually the Logi ship, the Tech 1 Logi ship. So if we go here, type, you can see here Inquisitor. It is that Tech 1 variant. So you can think that the Purifier doesn't look a lot like this, but it looks maybe a little bit like it, like the same sort of like shape that goes like a bent like this. It's similar. It's a variant at least. That's what they're trying to say. It's a variant of it, but the Purifier obviously is not at all a Logi ship. So that's why you would look there, because you see, okay, Inquisitor class, and look for the model here, that's Inquisitor. Okay, so this is a T1 then. So if we go to here, T2. There we go. Purifier is right there. If we go to T2B, actually, this is going to be the Deacon. This is a Tech 2 variant. So you can see that. That's how it works. It was a bit complicated at first. I was very confused. Like, oh, where's this T2 and that kind of stuff? But that's just how it works. You can even go to the T3 cruisers actually here. You can find all the parts as well. All the different variants, I believe. You can see here. So you would have to then, I believe, like, if you want, you could cut them up. But I don't even think you need to because they've got all of them different combinations here. That's pretty cool. Another cool thing is that you can actually have like even stations and that kind of stuff. So for example, we could go on station here, Amar. Look here. There's a station even you can extract. You can even go on like something like a Stargate, for example. Amar jump gate. So you can extract pretty much anything from the game. So if I want to then 3D print it then, what would I do then? Well, what I'd do is, first off, I need to go in Blender to sort of tweak up the model. But even before that, we need to do something else. We need to make it ready for 3D printing. So go into Netfabb. Netfabb is a website that you use to make the 3D model like fixed, because many of the models from EVE Online, they don't have like, they're not proper, or they're not fixed, you could say. Like they sometimes have a bit of holes in them that are not noticeable in game, but when it comes to like 3D printing them, they'll not be solid, and then the 3D printing software will be like confused in how to 3D print them. It's very simple. You just make sure you log in, you make an account. It's very easy. And then just take your OBJ and drop it when you've logged in, because you can't do it if you don't log in. And then it'll process it, take a bit of time to process it, maybe a minute or so. And then you can download it. So this is the fixed, quote unquote, fixed Marshal 3D model here. You can't really see any difference, but when it comes to the very, very tiny details, it will be fixed. So this is the fixed Marshal. So say I wanted to 3D print this, what I would probably do first is just fix it up a little bit so that it can actually be more accessible to me as a who wants to do 3D printing. Because like say I want to 3D print this model right here, and then like there's some parts, if we look at it, they're very thin and they're very flimsy, and they could probably break, especially this wing right here. It could very likely break if you were to 3D print this because it's so thin. And it's very simple. All you want to do is just make them a bit thicker. And the way I would do this is then I use the software Blender. Now just keep this in mind. Blender is known for being a very complicated software, but I barely know anything of Blender, and I'm still able to do this. It's very simple. So just open up Blender. Okay. Open up, just press A to select everything, press the delete key to remove all this crap here. Import, I just select the file. So in this case, we've got Marshal over here that's so big that we want to just reduce the size a bit because it's just really big right here. It's just a bit silly how big it is. So to do that, so you hold down middle mouse button to like move around a bit. You click on this right here, scale. You can just click on like inside the circle right here, and it'll make the whole thing smaller evenly, because if you click on one here, it'll be like a certain axis. So you just want to click on the circle here and it'll make it smaller, right? So we've got this here. Then we'll rotate it a bit as well, and you can just like hold down control to see that on the top left it says like the degrees, and go in 90 degrees then to move it here, because if you hold down control, it like moves it in increments of 5 degrees. Okay, good. Now, if you hold down Shift and click middle mouse button, you can sort of move around like this. This is becoming a little Blender tutorial, but it's not like the main focus here. It's just how to use this to be able to make your models printable. Okay, so now we want to go here, click on the model, click here, click edit mode to like edit the actual 3D model. Then you want to click the face thing here. This selects faces. Click here into the middle of nowhere. Now hold down Shift. Now if we want to make this wing thicker, hold down Shift and just select the faces you want to make thicker. It's very simple. Nothing super complicated. Just select them here. Okay. And don't be too obsessed. Like don't go too crazy in OCD here. Because when you print this stuff, you can hardly tell that you've made any slight like inaccuracies or anything like that. Okay, so now you want to click on the extrude tool here. All we're going to do is just make this thicker. There we go. I made it a bit thicker like this. Good. Now you can see here it looks a bit weird right here. So what we're going to do is just extrude this too. Okay, good. There we go. We extruded that. Now I want to extrude this too a little bit. There we go. And we've made it thicker. There we go. So we'll just do the same thing on the other region as well. I mean, I was very obsessed in the beginning. Oh, it's symmetrical. Like, as long as they look roughly symmetrical, you won't notice any difference when you 3D print them. It's just the way, like 3D printing is not to the detail that you'll notice these tiny differences. And the way you could just like look here is just look from the back, just look here, it looks approximately the same. And you can in fact probably do it in some way if you are good at Blender, but as I said before, I'm trash at Blender, so that's just how it's going to be sometimes. You can see here, okay, good. Now one thing I noticed here that I didn't do was that I didn't extrude these. Bit naughty of me, but it's all right. And it's very rough. I know it's rough, but it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. When you're 3D printing, it doesn't matter. I was just spending so much time trying to get it right in the beginning. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so then we will go here, select this, extrude this. Good. Take this, extrude this a bit. No, maybe not so much. Extrude it a little bit there. Okay, good. So now they're a bit thicker, and we maybe want to make the wings here a tiny bit thicker too. So we can even actually select them all quicker by just doing like this. This, good. And hold on shift now. There we go, it just adds them, could say. Select everything. See now. Don't want to select too many things here. There we go. You hold on shift again to just deselect it. Okay, good. Now we can do like this, good, and we can just extrude again. Make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Simple, simple, simple. Maybe not that much actually. Like that. That's good. I think that looks very good. And one thing actually, if you just want to be, now this is not necessary, but if you just want to be a little bit like cheeky here, you can just like go on select mode and click on the edge mode. This will select like not a face, but one of these lines. So you can just take this line here, and we can take the move tool and just move it a little bit here, so it's not like weirdly it's flat here. Or maybe was it the right axis? Yeah, there we go, like that. Good. You can do the same thing with the other one as well. So really a simple case of just selecting all these. Now I want to have face mode because face mode selects only faces. There we go. And something like this, and something like this, this, and this. Good. Okay, let's look here just to make sure they're a bit symmetrical, you know. Okay. Makes it a bit thicker there. Good. I think that looks nice. It looks nice. It looks symmetrical. Doesn't look really weirdly asymmetrical, and that's the most important part right here. We can take this edge here that I was talking about before, so go in, or the like edge select tool here, and just move this a little bit here so it just looks a bit smoother, you could say. It becomes a bit weird here, but yeah, it looks a bit messed up right there. I had it turn out on the other side. Yeah, it's a bit messed up right there, but to be honest, it does not matter actually at all. Okay, so we've finished this right here. Now I can just click export it as a new one. So we could export this maybe as a, or I could do it any file to be honest, but I like the OBJ. So I exported it as Marshal v2. If we got it over here, and if we compare them, it's not a whole lot of difference, but it's a tiny bit thicker, you know, and we just don't want stuff to fall apart when we 3D print them. Okay, so now that we've modified the model a bit, nothing super complicated right there. It really depends a little bit on your model, that how like some ships, they're very flimsy, so it'll take a little bit longer time. And sometimes it'll be like, you know, not hardly anything you need to do at all, to be honest. Like for example, the purifier I made, I didn't need to do anything to it, and it printed just fine. So this is really used to be a bit extra cautious. Sometimes it can work without modifying it at all, but I prefer to always do it, especially when I was just wondering, like, oh, why are my prints always breaking? And I realized that, yeah, okay, I should modify them a little bit. Okay, I like to use this software here called Prusa Slicer. It has a bit to do with that I'm using a Prusa 3D printer, but you can think of this is what you call a slicer software. And slicer softwares are basically, what they do is they convert a 3D model, like an OBJ file, into a G-code file. A G-code file is a file that the 3D printer can read. So That's simply what you do. This software does, and you also can make some slight tweaks to it, but not as much as you do in Blender. So what you want to do here is import the file, Marshal v2, good, and we just orient it here to look good. And it looks pretty nice, I would say. It looks pretty decent. And what we'll do here, put some support material, and I like to usually use just from the build plate. Our support material is basically, you could say, excess material that will be built on the side sort of or underneath to make it easier for it to print. One thing to not panic about is that it'll look weird when you print it, but they're very easy to be ripped away, because the way the 3D printer does is that it sort of like puts the filament down so that it's very easily detachable. So don't worry too much that, oh no, it looks weird, it's going to get stuck to my model. No, it's not the case. So just, I'm doing build plate here. I'll make so that it puts support with surfaces that have the build plate directly underneath. So for example, it won't put support material under this area here, because you see there's like a bit of an edge moving out and it's got nothing underneath it. Then it will not put it here. But if you were to put like everywhere, it would put some underneath here. This, like, you can see this triangle part here, it'll put some underneath here to support it, but it's such a little incline that it really will not matter. It'll print perfectly fine by itself. So to me, the Marshal looks, you'll get a feeling about this when you print a lot of 3D models, but I feel like the Marshal is one of those models which don't need to have them everywhere. It can just print the supports from the build plate only. And you can adjust the size, obviously, if you want as well. You can make it bigger, smaller, even like skew it a bit, make it look a bit weird. You can just scale it like this. This is a pretty small one over here. So you can just click slice, and you can see here, this is what it looks like. So as you can see, it becomes pretty rough. So that's what I'm trying to say is like, that it doesn't, don't worry too much about like these small changes I made. It will, like, you know, it will sometimes think that, oh, it's going to be weird, but it will just make it so that it'll print properly and not fall apart. And in fact, you can even see here that this thing is falling apart here. And I think it's just to do with how thin it is. So what we can do here now is actually go back to the model in Blender and modify it again. So we can go in edit mode. Okay, edit mode. Go in the face mode. Okay, and let's see now, what is the thin part here? There's all this part really. You can in fact select everything, so that we make it overall equally thicker. Select this. Good. I think there is some way to make it so that you can make it like symmetrical, but I'm very inexperienced with Blender, so I don't know how to do that. So now what we want to do is we'll just use the extrude tool again. Just like this. Really simple as that. Just do that. Very simple, very simple. You'll do the same thing now here on the other side as well. So we can just select this all. I know this seems very complicated if you're new to this, but it's actually very simple. I mean, it's just a case of making stuff thicker. It's not like any advanced 3D modeling skills you really need to use here. Like, as I said before, I'm a complete noob at this. I cannot even make stuff symmetrical here properly. Okay, good. So there we go. We made this thicker here, and maybe even a bit too thick. It's all right. We'll stick with this. Export this. So we'll go back into this object mode here. We'll click this, remove this, and import a new one. So this is the new one. It's a bit thicker here on the top, you can see. There we go. Slice now. And as you can see, it actually now works on the top, so it won't fall apart. I think it's maybe a little bit too wide, but it won't fall apart. And we could obviously go back into the software and, you know, modify it back to what it was before. Okay, so if we wanted to print, you can see it takes 2 hours now. So stuff that you want to 3D print takes quite a long time, and it's not particularly a big model either. It's only like 11, 12 centimeters long, so it's pretty small, especially since it's not very wide, but still 2 hours is how long it'll take to make this. So if we wanted to print this, we'll just export the G code, and we'll export that to like an SD card and just put it in the printer and click print on the printer. Alright, so the model is just finished printing right here. I actually printed it out, so this is 2 hours later. Just put the phone here to the side. You can actually just remove the model right here from the build plate. This is what I usually do. So you got the plate here, you can see. So basically let's just hope that it does not like snap when we remove this from the plate, because I worry about that sometimes. But we're going to try to remove it right here. You just have to sort of bend this thing. It's a really good thing about this printer. You can just bend it and it sort of makes it detach, bend it from the side a little bit, and I just hope the wings actually don't, these flimsy wings don't snap off. May have snapped actually. Oh, but this is what I'm saying, that it's very good to be careful with how, or like to optimize your 3D models or 3D prints so that you can actually like print them without stuff breaking. So you can see here, I mean, this became a little bit thick here, this part here, but it was not too bad. So I can actually get a tool here that I'll use to remove the support parts from it, because you can see there's like supports, all this stuff here, supports, and I have a bit of this like isopropyl alcohol that you use to just give this a bit of a clean, ready for next time. So hopefully this does not like end with a bunch of like broken Marshal, but you know, maybe it will go good. Maybe it'll go good. We'll see here. Okay, so we'll just try to remove this part here. I'm worried most about these wings, to be honest. Try isolating these wingy bits here. Don't get destroyed, please. But it seems to be attached. You have to be like delicately rough here. So you have to have enough force to be able to remove this, but at the same time you do not want to have too much to break it. There we go, you see this wing here? They're intact here. I'm worried most about these big wings, to be honest. See that they didn't snap off. Okay, I think it's detached from the wings. There we go. Okay, junk here we need to remove. If stuff is to snap off, you can always just super glue it together. Me personally though, I don't want to do that, because I like it when everything is together solidly and just comes out properly, because it just means, generally speaking, that the model is more robust. I'm a bit of a child how I play with my 3D models. I want them to be strong, child resistant, as you can say. I want to have a bit of strength to them too. Oh, look at that. It held together. Maybe hard to see, but they are like, it's quite rough here. It's quite smooth here. So you could probably easily fix that with a bit of sanding. So there we go. I think it is done. Luckily it did not snap. I thought it was going to snap the wings, but it did not. A Marshal is born. So that's how you export 3D models from EVE Online. How you modify them, how you fix them, how you install Triexporter, and how you set them up in the 3D printing slicer software to get them to 3D print. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you found it helpful. I hope it can inspire and help some of you guys to make some cool 3D prints. And if you do make some with the help of this guide right here, please put a picture of them in the comment section below, or a link to them in the comment section below. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.